Hello and welcome, fellow Forgelings. We are nearing the end of 2020, so naturally we started to put together our favorite bands from each genre. Today, we are listing our favorite Doom records of the year, and we collaborated with our good friend Rob from the Metal Meltdown to bring you some of the best Doom that 2020 had to offer. Head on over to his killer channel. The guy is a total workhorse and posts a ton of videos every week reviewing new metal releases of the underground, and he hosts live streams to interact with his fans. Thanks for being on the show, dude. Let's get to our picks.
Good morning, metalheads of the internet. My name is Robert Walton, and I am the host of the Metal Meltdown here on YouTube. And today, I'm here to talk about some of my favorite doom metal albums of 2020. First album I want to tell you about is The World That Was from Temple of Void. This is the third studio album from this American death doom band, and hands down, their most ambitious and powerful record to date. Absolutely massive in size, cinematic in its scope and vision, consistently devastating and dreary from start to finish. But what really amazes me about this album is that at the same time, it can also be quite lush and beautiful with acoustic guitar and some amazing keyboard sections and some very ambient and spacey sections and a lot of very dramatic and evocative passages, providing sonic and emotional contrast on top of making this album feel kind of unpredictable. Like, I legitimately could not tell where this album was going on my very first listen. And even now, after multiple listens, there are little bits and pieces wedged underneath everything that I'm only now noticing for the first time. To show you what I mean, here's a clip of the track Casket of Shame. I need a minute. That was pretty hot. They're on Bandcamp, Spotify, and just about every other streaming service as far as I can tell, so if you liked what you heard, definitely check it out. Because what I just showed you there was nothing more than the tip of this death doom iceberg.
I don't want to quite reveal my hand at this point for top picks of the year, so I decided to talk about some bands that I would consider as runner-ups for album of the year, specifically in the Doom category. Here's a hint, though. At least one of the bands Brandon has picked will definitely be on my year-end list. So my first pick here is Lesser Glow's Nullity. Boston-based Lesser Glow came out with an absolutely crushing post-sludge doom metal album this year with Nullity, which was released back in May. This is an intense album, and not in a sad or mopey kind of way. The songs convey an atmosphere of suffocating in your own personal tidal pool of loss, misery, and anxiety. The diversity of the emotional content of this music is matched by the fantastic range of the singer. There are some post-hardcore vibes on here, and I think if Lesser Glow keeps up the great work, they're going to be seen as a band that can fill the shoes of ISIS, a Boston-based post-metal band that is very well missed around here. Here's a clip from Lesser Glow. Definitely be sure to support Lesser Glow. Their album Nullity came out this year on Pelagic Records. It is definitely worth putting on your radar.
The first one on my list is My Dying Bride, The Ghost of Orion. This was released on March 6th on Nuclear Blast Records. I've been a fan of My Dying Bride for nearly 2 decades, and it stuns me that this band continues to deliver spectacular doom metal that hits me right at the core. They celebrated their 30-year anniversary this year, and since Turn Loose the Swans, I've been a huge fan of this band. Ghost of Orion features flawless production and performances and is some of the best music that the band has done to date. They're on track to release another EP, Macabre Cabaret, on November 20th of this year. It seems like these titans of sorrowful doom have had quite the comeback in 2020. We actually interviewed the vocalist Aaron Stainthorpe about the Ghost of Orion as well. The link is in the description for those of you who are interested in hearing about the making of the album, behind the scenes of shooting the music videos, and some other great things about the band. Here's a clip from Your Broken Shore. Support these guys, grab a copy of a shirt or an album because I hope they continue for decades to come.
Next album I want to talk to you about is Glory Glory Apathy Took Helm from Vile Creature. This is the second studio album from this two-piece experimental drone and doom metal band relatively close to my neck of the woods, hailing from Hamilton, Ontario. Now, by the standards of doom metal, this is a pretty weird band. Hell, by the standards of like experimental drone and doom and progressive doom, this is a pretty weird fucking band. Their sound is very oppressive, very nihilistic, very monotonous, very demanding, devoid entirely of melody and traditional song structure. But the beauty of Vile Creature is that there is, in fact, beauty here underneath all of the static and the crust and the monotonous droning, in part because of the incredible performances, consistently so emotive, so captivating, so powerful. I mean, this is one of the most emotionally vulnerable and genuine albums I've heard in doom metal, not just all year, but probably in general. And on top of that, the production value of this record is absolutely phenomenal. As it goes on, it introduces keyboards, string instruments, angelic choirs, the lyrics get more personal, the performances get more intense. Man, it's really amazing. What more can I say? Check out this little snippet yourself from the track Apathy Took Helm. Oh my god, listening to that snippet really makes me wish I had this on vinyl. You know what? I'm gonna change that right now. And I'm gonna recommend you change that as well, so go check out the band on Bandcamp. They got tons of different vinyl options if you are a vinyl freak like myself. If not, you can still check it out on Spotify and all the other streaming services, you know, whatever works for you. And if I may shamelessly plug myself for a moment, I'd like to point out I actually interviewed KW and Vic from Vile Creature on the Metal Meltdown back in July, so check that out as well if you want to learn more.
Deathwhite is next for me, and they really surprised me with their brand of unique gothic melodic doom on Grave Image, which came out this year on Season of Mist, way back at the beginning of the year before this whole pandemic thing was going on in January. It feels like a totally different lifetime now. I had never heard of this band until the beginning of this year and was really quite surprised to learn that they're from Pennsylvania, because they embrace that Scandinavian brand of up-tempo yet still sorrowful metal very well. What I really love about this album is how it just gets better as you listen to it. The band is talented enough to be able to hide their little talents and tricks and then pull them out of their musical bag throughout the entirety of the record. Something that takes many other bands just years of honing their craft to do. And this is Deathwhite's second full-length album, which is really impressive. Something big is on the horizon for this band, and I think within the next several years, we're going to see them blow up and release something absolutely ground-shattering. Here, I want you to take a listen to something off of Deathwhite's Grave Image.
Can't you feel what I feel? All sense is gone. You're in a gun. Can't you see what I see? You lost it all.
Deathwhite's second full-length album, Grave Image, is now available on Season of Mist. If you're into the gothic melodic doom variety, this is a band that absolutely has to be on your radar as a record to buy from 2020. As Tom Lindbergh would say, do it!
The next one on my list is Fires in the Distance, Echoes from Deep November. This was released on September 18th on Prosthetic Records. I actually covered this band in my top albums of September list, but this album quickly became a favorite of 2020 for me for Doom. This is easily one of the best melodic Doom records of 2020 and easily one of my favorites of the genre. I actually discovered this band because of the album artwork by Kaylin Stockermans, and it blew me away. I absolutely love the album artwork on this. The album is a gem of a record. It's got rich production, it's heavy as hell, it's crazy melodic with gorgeous keyboard layers. Echoes from Deep November hits every single checkmark for me. CT-based Fires in the Distance embrace layering with their compositions instead of going overly extravagant, showing off every single instrument. Here's a clip from one of my favorite tunes, Reflections in the Ice.
Vision
If you love that European melodic doom sound, you have to check these guys out. Head over to their Bandcamp, grab some merch. They have vinyl, CDs, shirts, and some other bundles. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel if you dig videos like these. We post multiple videos weekly, bringing you top lists of the metal underground, interviews, and reactions. Hit that like button and the notification bell so that you never miss a video. Let's get to our last picks.
And this now brings us to my third album, Stygian by Atavist. This is the debut studio album from a funeral doom project brought to us by Philippe Tougat, who has performed with everyone from Funebarum to Cathelis to First Fragment to Eternity's End to Void Ceremony. Hands down the busiest name in underground music right now. Like, say whatever you will about his music, but don't even attempt to knock his work ethic. More to the point, Stygian isn't just one of the best doom metal albums of 2020, it's one of my favorite albums of the year. Like, this is probably gonna end up in my top 10 at the end of the goddamn year. Not just because it's emotive, not just because it's ambitious and all these other words that I've been using all throughout this video, but simply because this album single-handedly changed how I saw and felt about funeral doom. Like, this was a subgenre I didn't really care about for a long fucking time. Until Stygian, until Atavist, until this beautiful, incredible, immersive record. It's hard to really go into the exact details because this is such a dense record filled with so much emotion and lore. So instead, I'm going to point you to a couple of videos I've done on the Metal Meltdown in which I have thoroughly discussed this album in length with Heaviest of Art contributor Ty Tilley and the band's own Philippe Tougat. And if you haven't listened to the record and those videos somehow aren't enough, fuck it. Here's another little snippet for you. Y'all know the drill by now. Spotify, Bandcamp, yada yada yada. Just go listen to this fucking beautiful record. Thank you to Metal Forge Reviews for having me on here, for letting me rant and rave to my heart's content. Make sure you subscribe to their channel if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to mine as well if you haven't already, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.
My final doom metal album of the year goes to Wren with their album Groundswells. This was put out in June on Gizeh Records. This London-based sludge post-metal band would fit very well with the first band that I talked about on a show bill, Lesser Glow, and Wren would be awesome together on a show. Hey, you know what? Here's a thought. Out of all the bands that we have talked about today, myself, Brandon, and Rob, what would you pick for a show bill? Pick 3 bands that you think would fit really well together and put them down in the comments below. Be really curious to know what your thoughts are in terms of what your dream show bill would be if you had unlimited money and you could play wherever and do whatever and get these bands together. What would you pick? Maybe 3 or 4 picks. Put them down in the comments below. Very curious to know what your thoughts are. I got a little sidetracked here. Groundswells really stood out to me with a crisp and polished sonic qualities. There's a very strong feeling of space in the mix, and it lends to the introspective atmosphere that the band is giving off with the music. The musicianship and songwriting is very progressive, almost in a gent sort of way, but not to the point where I felt like I was listening to yet another Meshuggah copycat. I love how tight and focused the rhythm section is, and how the synchronization is contrasted by wide open leads in a cosmic atmosphere. This album is full of surprises, and that's something that I have to say makes all of these picks stand out. Surprises and diversity. I don't want to just hear the same thing over and over again and learn their playbook by the second song. I want to be surprised as I listen to an album, and all the albums I talked about here today absolutely deliver on that characteristic for me. This is a clip from Groundswells. If you can't tell already, I love me some sludgy and atmospheric music. Wren's Groundswells is a fantastic album that totally deserves your ears if you too are into this sort of heaviness.
The last one on my list is Atavist 3 Absolution, released June 19th on Candlelight Records. Reformed in 2016/17 after a 10-year hiatus, the UK-born death doom band Atavist have returned in 2020 with a brand new studio album, 3 Absolution. The third full-length album from the band is here after 13 years, following their highly acclaimed 2007 record, 2 Ruined, out on Profound Lore. 3 Absolution is a total monster of a record, and for those who love their metal-tuned, low, played very, very slow, this is a perfect album for that. The record is made up of 4 massive tracks that pummel the listener with emotive and atmospheric death doom metal that is completely amazing. This album made it on our top albums of 2020 so far list, and it's easily going to be a contender for top of the year. It already made it on a best of doom, so who knows, it might be best of all of 2020. For those interested, we actually interviewed the bassist Shane Ryan a few months ago about the record. The link's in the description if you want to hear some more stuff about it. Here's a clip from Self-Realization. Support Atavist on the Candlelight Records web store or on their Bandcamp page. They have a bunch of merch available. Definitely pick something up.
A big thank you to Rob from the Metal Meltdown for joining us today. Definitely be sure to head over to his channel and check out his reviews. He covers a lot of music that we don't. Therefore, we wanted to team up with him and get his perspective on some of this year's best doom and sludge records. If you want to see more from us, we've organized segments by playlist on our YouTube channel, so head over to there and find some cool stuff to keep you occupied. Have a great Thanksgiving, and a happy Veterans Day to all you former service members. We appreciate the sacrifices that you and your family have made during your time in service. Happy Armistice Day, happy Remembrance Day to those of you across the pond. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.